Congresswoman, I don't know that off the
You don't know. This was the largest data scandal with respect to your company that had catastrophic impacts on the 2016 election. You don't know?
In late December of 2019, I posted this note to the Facebook account I had under my real name. Hello, dear friends. On December 31st, 2019, I will be permanently deleting my Facebook account. You can always reach me at Alex and my address, phone number. You can continue to enjoy my humor and political opinions in the coming decade by listening to my podcast, which premieres on 1/1/2020, and you can find that at doomedplanet.com. Some of my reasons for bailing on Facebook are detailed in these books: Radical Technologies by Adam Greenfield, 2017. Zucked, Waking Up to the Facebook Catastrophe by Roger McNamee, 2019. And The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, The Fight for a Human Future at the New Frontier of Power from 2019. That's by Shoshana Zuboff. See also EFF.org. That's the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Truly yours, Alex. And then on New Year's Eve day, I deleted my account. Of course, I still have numerous accounts under assumed names and identities, so I can do my research on Facebook when needed. But yeah, fuck off, Zuckerberg. Doomed Planet, the podcast, episode 26. See you in hell, Facebook.
I'm not sure of the exact time.
I'm not sure of the exact time.
Quitting my primary Facebook account felt great. It's like a new beginning. And what happened is that I lost most of my high school friends, most of my various jobs friends, friends from my New York era and my college era, and a lot of Seattle people. I did keep one of my accounts that I still have was an account for a newspaper I used to publish, but it wasn't set up as a business account. And so I changed the name of that, and now I have, a few of my very close friends on that I keep in touch with, mostly Seattle people, and also some randoms. So we're going to take a look at that account, and I'll try to protect people's privacy, but we'll have some fun with that. Again, you want to read Zucked. Roger McNamee is a longtime Silicon Valley venture capitalist, and at one point he helped start Facebook. He mentored Mark Zuckerberg and helped him launch Facebook and was an early investor in Facebook, but at some point he realized, God damn, this is evil. I mean, Facebook got Donald Trump elected, or helped that happen, for one thing. And it's used by very bad actors and very evil people to create and promote hate. And internationally, it's gotten people killed. But again, read Zucked and you'll figure that out.
Facebook is having a negative effect on our health and our society. So please welcome Roger McNamee, author of the book Zucked, Waking Up to the Facebook Catastrophe.
Being a real capitalist and person who trusted that technology would always make our lives better. In 2016, I was on Facebook and I started to realize, oh my gosh, there were things going on that suggested that the design of the product, the algorithms and the culture of the company were letting bad people harm innocent people in the context of the U.S. election, in the context of civil rights.
So it's a good book, but can you really trust a guy that's this wealthy? Yes, in this case, you can. He's an insider, and that gives us a great peek into the Satanism of Zuckerberg.
So you can go to zuckedbook.com.
Okay, time for some fun. We're going to open up one of my Facebook accounts and see what's going on. The other thing is, since quitting my primary account, I've spent 99.5% less time on that platform. And, this pandemic happened right after I quit my primary account, and I'm so thankful for that I don't have to see people suffering, people's anxiety, people that I know in real life bearing their souls and violating their kids' privacy by posting pictures and videos of them. It's a great thing.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
It's a great thing. Podcast shout out to Behind the Bastards. That's the Robert Evans podcast.
Podcast shout out.
Where they, pick a very bad person every episode, like say Hitler, and do a story about them. And he has a 2-part episode called Mark Zuckerberg, the worst person of the 21st century so far. So throughout the Obama era, and that's when Facebook took off, when you open up their first page, you would see a slogan that said, Facebook, it's free and always will be. And that was on there for years and years. And now when you go to facebook.com, it says, connect with friends and the world around you on Facebook. So it's no longer free, but again, you are the product. Okay, we're in. What an ugly website. It is hideous. You can see who is online. There's some people online that I know and some that I don't know. One of those people is Tom Hansen, and we talked about him in episode number 24 of Doomed Planet. We reviewed his excellent book, American Junkie. And that episode was called Notorious Seattle Junkies, Tom Hansen. Just briefly go through the timeline here. We have someone posting from foxbusiness.com, what happens to your unemployment benefits if you refuse to go back to work? Then there's the creepy people you may know section in the timeline. And a lot of these people I do know, or there's crossover between this fake Facebook account and my old real one that no longer exists. Let me see, one of my socialist friends is posting about Jeff Bezos ending the $2 per hour hazard pay for workers at the end of May. He's earned $30 billion during the pandemic. So again, I go to Twitter for this sort of news, or directly to, this is from Democracy Now!, directly to those news sites that I sort of trust, like The Intercept, also various podcasts like Chapo Trap House and whatnot. And locally, Seattle Sucks, the podcast, at seattle.sucks. Check them out.
Podcast shout out.
Funny, during the Obama era, I weeded out all the right-wing dickheads that I knew from growing up in a small town in Appalachia. They were easy to find because they'd post, anti-Hillary memes and Obama conspiracy memes and stuff. But on this account, I still have some right-wingers, including this guy. He's a restaurateur and chef. Actually, I like him a lot. He's posting a meme. It shows people on unemployment, and it's a SpongeBob character toting a wheelbarrow full of money. And then in the second frame, essential employees, and it's a SpongeBob character living in a cardboard box in an alley. And then the third and final frame says small business owners, and it's flames. So again, right-wing disinformation in the form of a retarded meme that a 6-year-old could understand. This is the poison of Facebook.
Hate speech, disinformation, conspiracy theories.
Okay, here's some advertising for Nearby Naturals. They sell mushroom grow kits. This ad has followed me around social media to Instagram, which of course is owned by Facebook. I do still have some of those accounts, and Twitter. So that's creepy. It's like you think you're quitting a platform, but you're not. And they know who you are or where you are. They're watching your every move. And that's not paranoia. That's reality. I know the great philosopher Charles Manson would often say, the coyote in the desert is not paranoid. And if he is, paranoia is a form of awareness. The coyote can see every sight. He can smell everything for a mile around. He can hear any sound. He notices any change in the weather, the environment, everything. It's not paranoia, it's awareness.
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Ooh, that flashing endorphin bell has turned red, and I have 2 notifications. 2 people added to their stories, and someone liked a link that I shared about our new episode of Doomed Planet. And that's someone that I have no idea who he is. We've never met, but he became a fan of the podcast after our Dick Balch wacky car dealer episode. This is just such lowbrow trash. There's a link to Fox Business. 1.6 trillion in century-old Chinese bonds offer Trump unique leverage against Beijing. That's completely false and ridiculous. All right, here's some good news. King County records no new coronavirus deaths for the first time in over 2 months. And that's where the Doom Planet podcast is located. And that's where the epidemic first hit the United States. And it was bad. And it's destroyed anyone's life who owned a restaurant or worked at a restaurant. And there's a lot of posts from those people that I know. Here's one from Eater, SanFranciscoEater.com. Berkeley will fully close its streets to create giant outdoor dining rooms. And someone is saying, we need to do this in Seattle. And of course, weather permitting. It's Seattle. Come on. And an ad for nakedwines.com. That ad has been following me around the internet. And I'm never going to become a customer of theirs. So let's just go right to the friends timeline and describe some of these friends. Some I do and some I don't know. And it'll be interesting somehow.
Mm-hmm. When did Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg become aware of Cambridge Analytica?
I don't know off the top of my head.
You don't know?
Okay, going to look for my list of friends you see on my wall, as they call it. There's a picture of a dog as my profile picture, and a fake, ridiculous name that my actual real friends will know is me. And I'm in a relationship. I live in Seattle, Washington. I'm followed by 18 people, and I have 190 friends. Okay, we have Sean. He's a restaurateur, and he had 2 or 3 restaurants going, and now they're closed. He's got some right-wing tendencies, although he claims that he's not of any political persuasion. But again, he posts some right-wing stuff on Facebook, and he claims that the people that worked for him are making more money on unemployment than they would coming back to work, which is a good thing. I know restaurants are a low-margin business, but maybe the people that work in restaurants should be paid more. Then we have Ace. We did episode 4 of the Doom Planet podcast was about Ace Backwards. He is he's homeless, and he lives in the hills of Berkeley, California, with some feral cats and wild turkeys. All right, then we have a Ronaldo, a dear friend, and just a general restaurant guy and raconteur. Phil is a journalist who used to work at The Stranger, an alt-weekly newspaper that went to alt-biweekly, and now they're not even printing a print edition anymore. Bill is someone we call Oyster Bill, and he's a fisherman and works in the seafood industry. Okay, there's Tom. He is an author. He wrote American Junkie, and Doom Planet episode 24 is all about him, Notorious Seattle Junkies, Tom Hansen. He has a beautiful black cat and he hoards fireworks. And so he has fun with his Facebook. He's always on there. Dina is a celebrity. Clark is a local journalist. And he does a newsletter every morning that you can get by email. It comes every morning called Misc Media. And since the pandemic, he's really stepped up. He's doing a great job. He is mostly links to news stories with a tiny bit of commentary. There's dear friend Elaine. Wow, she has 1,000 friends. Oh, wait, Elaine was also the subject of a podcast episode that was Seattle's Not So Swinging 60s. Doom Planet episode 5. Ian, also known as Uncle Ike of Uncle Ike's Pot Shops fame. Ethan is a local painter. Aaron, good friend. Ben, he's a neighbor. Rick, fascinating character. When I met Rick, he lived in this loft above what was Consolidated Press in Belltown. It's a building that then housed the Flying Fish restaurant, but he had a giant loft filled with junk. Good to keep track of him. So it seems I know a lot of these people on my fake Facebook account. Peter used to work at the Crocodile Cafe. Timothy runs a homeless newspaper. Jerome, I have no idea. He's from Tacoma, and we have 16 mutual friends. And you got Diana, one of these restaurant owners that has been temporarily wiped out. And Tracy was in the Mount St. Helens Vietnam band. Igor is someone that posts about squirrels. Buddy Foley is a famous, eccentric local character that used to have a shop that sold ladybugs, and one of the many people that I know that has never had a real job but has made life interesting. Stacy. We have 7 mutual friends. No idea. And she posts memes and stuff, but also lots of pictures of herself mugging for the camera. Oh, here's a weird one. She was on the cover of Cutie magazine. That's Cutie with a K. And that was my friend Hank, the art director, did a softcore, 50s style Betty Page softcore porn magazine. And I guess Stacy was on the cover of that. And moving right along to Dominic, fabulous person, started volunteering at HempFest, got a job as a journalist at The Stranger, and now he's working for BuzzFeed, and he has some national prominence. And we have a relative of mine, and we have Pramila Jayapal, fabulous member of the Squad, is that correct? And a progressive politician. So she's the AOC of the Seattle area. Tia owned a nightclub. Nelson Heston Riley. Oh, yeah. Fabulous guy, bartender. Bob. He co-wrote the screenplay to Paul Alien. Louis. He ran the Black Dog Forge in Belltown. Linus. Filmmaker. He wrote he directed a film called Walking to Werner. That's where he walked from Seattle to LA to hook up with Werner Herzog. There's Ben, a friend, Josh, relative, Xander, Belltown guy. Belltown is a neighborhood in downtown Seattle where I lived, and that's where a lot of these friends are coming from, based on the provenance of this account. Rick is a well-known local artist. Dow Constantine is King County executive. He has 5,000 friends. And again, if you do the math, if it takes you 3 minutes to unfriend each friend on Facebook and you have 5,000 friends, you're going to be going for more than a week straight, day and night. Tim, interesting. He was part of the Mars Hill Church, which was a sketchy hipster church for a while until the pastor fled town in disgrace. And then Tim has gone on to do other church-related things. Anne Marie Hitch. I don't want to say anyone's name if I don't know them or if they're not featured in one of my podcasts. So if I do all these people, it's going to be like a 5-hour podcast. But Chris, do I know this person? He's posting some footage at 4:27 a.m. this morning. We caught these two planning to break into the convenience store at 2237 2nd Avenue. Oh my God. So he's posting like a voyeuristic looking down from above from his condo of two dudes trying to commit a crime. So he's like one of those neighborhood narc kind of people. No idea who he is. So yeah, Facebook, it's interesting. It's very entertaining if you're a voyeur, which we all are, I guess. And if you're filled with schadenfreude for people whose lives are more miserable than yours, or if you want to look down upon people who are not as intellectually superior as yourself. But remember, it hoovers up all your information. It rapes you of your privacy and that of your children as well. It follows you around the internet. It sells your information to third parties. And perhaps worst of all, they are a publisher, but they claim to only be a publishing platform. Because if, say, a normal media outlet like the New York Times were to publish the poison and hatred that appears on Facebook with false information, disinformation, it could be legally actionable. But again, these big tech companies are getting away with that bullshit for now. So again, entertaining, fun looking at all these interesting people, but also satanic.
Pretty simple yes or no.
Okay, Mark is a well-known artist. He also ran the Wall of Sound record store for a long time in Belltown. Sean is a well-known artist. I also know his sister, Bevan. Jim is a friend I've known since like second grade, and Facebook is how we got reacquainted. So that's fun. Brian, a very interesting guy. He opened one of Seattle's first pot dispensaries. And that's how I met him. Kelly, no idea who this is. We have 23 mutual friends. And she has photos of her dog. And she reposts other people's photos of interesting things. Shane Swank. Oops, I said his last name. He's a great artist. He's fascinated with Nancy, the Ernie Bushmiller comic. Lindsay is kind of a goth person. Marilyn, posting about 7 books that she loves. Barbara Kingsolver, The Bean Trees. Okay. Becky, someone I knew from the old days in Seattle. Don as well. James. No mutual friends. Former line cook at Madrigal Electromotive GmbH. Hasn't posted in years. Okay, we're going to unfriend him right now. Goodbye, James. Riz, fabulous DJ. Mike, fabulous music aficionado and person from The Stranger. Grandpa, he posts fungi of the day. It's like a low resolution, poorly composed photograph of mushrooms every single day. And I do miss that because my Facebook use has gone down 95%. Jory. This looks like I got 2 mutual friends. He's a bike messenger. He's got long dreadlocks. Yeah, I think I remember this guy from the Dead Baby Bike crew. Okay, Mary Jane Washington. 3,197 friends. It's a picture of it's a cartoon of a woman with a marijuana hat of some kind. Billy is a bad artist who's one of these baby boomer fake artists that can't actually draw but has, pulled off some kind of a scam calling themselves an artist. Christian, I believe that's the son of Robert Fulghum, the famous writer. Sam is a relative. Rob C. Edwards, fantastic. We have one mutual friend, and he lives out in the country, and he forages for mushrooms and edible wild plants, and he's a major psychedelic hippie. So yeah, if I have 200 friends and I spend 3 minutes talking about each friend on this podcast, it's going to be a 600-minute podcast. And so we'll go a little while here. I'll try to cherry pick some of these people, especially the ones that I don't actually know. There's Max, is a cartoonist, and also the artist who designed the Bezos bucks. It's like a fake money with Jeff Bezos on it. David Meinert, 30 mutual friends. We're not going to do a podcast about him, but he got in some trouble and was forced to sell some of his restaurants, which in retrospect might have been lucky for him. Scott is someone who is dead, and Doom Planet Podcast episode 6 is about Scott. Captain Skillet Weasel is dead. He also contributed music to the Doomed Planet podcast. And that was music by Skillet, who we lost in December, one of my dear friends. Okay, back to our friends from our fake Facebook account, Jameer, and there's no profile picture. This account has been deactivated. All right, so we unfriend him. Andrew, picture of his dog. He's kind of a scary guy with a big beard. Hello, everyone. During these challenging times, artists still need an audience, and humans need unique listening experiences. Follow these links to support and purchase artist releases. And then it's links to his band. Good old Michael McGinn with almost 5,000 friends. He is former mayor of Seattle. Some guy named Seth. He's a goofy guy with a beard, and he's a full-time dreamer. There's no real information on here. We're going to unfriend Seth. About Carmel, a nice-looking middle-aged white woman, and pictures of her family and stuff. Someone named Marvin. He's got 2,000 friends. He went to the University of Washington, and he knows a lot of major figures and politicians. Patricia, I don't know a lot of these people. And do people realize that your Facebook profile picture is by definition public? So anyone on the platform can see it, and also anyone just hopping on the internet can see it. Know how I met this person? She's a local scenester. She's friends with a lot of local media people, politicians, and fabulous people like that. Someone named Fuchsia. She is a performer at belly dance and burlesque entertainer. No idea. Okay, I've had my fill of Facebook for the month here. I do have an account with thousands of followers that I post Doom Planet promos to try to get some traction. My dear friend Shane, I really doubt if he is alive. His last post is November 26, 2018. He lived in my building in Belltown, and he's quite a unique and eccentric character. He had this birth defect where like one of his ankles is really small, the diameter, and he was in a great deal of pain and came from a troubled home life. I told stories about, his parents were hippies and they would be living in an abandoned house and there'd be no heat and they'd all be sitting around a fire in the backyard using drugs while he was walking around. He had a very serious drug and alcohol problem, Shane. He would come back from the drugstore with giant bottles of Vicodin, and he also made this like soundproof cube in his apartment, and that's where he said he went to do his screamings when the pain was too intense. He would also come over to my place with like a magnum jug of wine and chugged the wine in like 5 minutes because he claimed you could get higher that way. So he was fucked up, but he's also super brilliant. He fancied himself as like a DJ musician, and he had a computer and various software and stuff, but he could never manage to actually produce any music. So Shane, if you're out there and you're listening to this and you are still with us, contact the Doomed Planet podcast, doomedplanetpod@gmail.com.
Mr. Zuckerberg, why should the very politicians who lead our country be held to a lower standard for truthfulness and decency than the average American?
Congresswoman, this isn't about helping the politicians. This is about making sure that people can see for themselves what
Mr.
politicians
Zuckerberg,
are saying.
It is hate speech. It is hate.
Okay, one more look at the timeline here before we log out of Facebook, because I am addicted to Facebook. I want it more and more. Seattle Amazon tax is a model for taking back fiscal power. People I may know: Belinda Moutre, Nadine Stellavato Brown, Daniel Curtis, Cinnamon, Shanna, Michelle, Powerpuff Girl is her logo, and then Shanna she's wearing gloves and a mask. Oh, isn't that timely? Here's Brian again. He's posting himself live every morning, chatting and smoking a blunt and drinking coffee. Here's a post from a restaurant that's barely surviving, Jude's Old Town. There's a link to 5 great Seattle area spots to grab cocktails to go in the coronavirus era. And, people that do have money, that's a dwindling percentage of the population, they do want to try and support these restaurants, even though that's going to be much more expensive than, buying food and cooking it yourself. But, part of the restaurant experience is that you're getting served and waited on, and you don't have to do dishes, and the whole pick up and to go thing and the cocktail thing, it's desperation, and it's sad. There is a place near us called the Both Ways Cafe, and it's a breakfast place, and boy, the Seattle breakfast thing I never understood that. Like, for the price of one person's breakfast, you could buy a dozen eggs, a loaf of bread, and a pound of bacon. Anyway, Both Ways is really popular, and there's always people waiting outside, especially on the weekends, and it's like shared tables and stuff. And now they're operating as to-go only, of course, and they're not getting the business, because the whole fucking point was that there's a certain group of people that wants to go and have breakfast right next to their neighbors and be seen and be social, and that's gone now. And I'm surprised that Both Ways is still even in business. I know the lady was not paying going rate for cooks and wait staff. I think generally in Seattle, in the pre-pandemic days, you're going to get $16 an hour right off of the gate, and she wasn't paying that. And I saw one of the people working there was still there the other day, and I was thinking, God, can't this guy get unemployment? Because he's going to get 4 months of $600 extra. And what is he doing here? It's odd. And of course, even if it is to go only, you're exposing yourself just being out in the world, no matter where you are.
You know I love you, baby. And that's why it's time to get funky.
And Rick is posting, here's a question. Die as a legend who lived a life like there was no tomorrow, doing all sorts of far-out shit? Or die having built that 401k retirement plan and all that? There's no wrong answer here. It's a choice. There are personal reasons. I made mine long ago. Still living with it. Excellent man about town, a car enthusiast and artist, Rick. I don't think he has a 401k. I don't think any of these Seattle artists and music people do, aside from, so the very few that struck it rich in the music business. And then Louis replies, when all the 401ks evaporate into the banker's pocket, we will have legends to recall. The important thing is we will all be dead. And now I will be logging out of this Facebook account. Thank God.
You've proven that we cannot trust you with our emails, with our phone numbers. So why should we trust you with our hard-earned money?
I encourage our listeners to go to the Electronic Frontier Foundation. That's EFF.org. There are some resources there. Surveillance self-defense. The EFF is the leading nonprofit defending digital privacy, free speech, and innovation. And for our podcast shout out this time, I would have to say Seattle Sucks. You can find them at Seattle .sucks. .sucks is a top-level domain now. And it's all about Seattle politics, and they have great takes on the Satanism of the Boeing Corporation and the Satanism of Jeff Bezos, for starters. They also do granular coverage of the Seattle City Council and the mayor's office and whatnot.
Podcast shout out.
And some virtue signaling, because I am so full of sanctimony. I'm so much holier than thou. I have on occasion been cooking some meals, putting them in Chinese food takeout containers and delivering them to local homeless people, especially this one guy I know that hangs out on Rainier Avenue at a certain corner in his makeshift hut made out of wheelchairs and stuff. It's how is this happening in the richest country in the world? Rusty, the media watchdog, this time around was looking at the Dershang Group website, and this is Linda Dershang. She's the founder and CEO of a chain of restaurants and nightclubs, and they've basically, like, everything has been wiped out. So she has a link, help support our staff, donate now. The hospitality industry has been hit especially hard between the recent loss of sales and now the much-needed shutdowns due to COVID. And we've been looking into ways to help support our amazing team during this difficult time. 100% of every donation goes directly to the Dershang Group staff. Your donation is greatly appreciated during these difficult times. And then you go to a Squarespace.com donation page, the Dershang Group Staff Support Fund. Now, I know Linda is a good person. She actually originates from the original late 80s Seattle music scene, and she capitalized on that to open some nightclubs and whatnot. And She's got this $1 million business and suddenly it's just gone. So that's sad. But there's not a lot of detail on the donation information. You know, which staff are going to get any of these donations, if there are any donations. See, on her website, she has, it's like this corporate restaurant group at this point. You got Jack, Director of Finance, Adam, Brand Manager, Christy, Creative Assistant and Bartender, Jasmine, Office and HR Manager, Carrie, Facilities Manager. So in addition to the bartenders and wait staff, you have this team of like corporate restaurant people, and they're all out of work too. So who's getting any of the donations? It's sad to see such desperation. I gotta say, Linda's a very smart businesswoman, and I'd be surprised if she hasn't socked away a few $1 million over the years running these successful businesses. So her workers, though, might not be so lucky. It's just a disaster, devastation all around. If you're forced to add a donation button, much like The Stranger, which is now an online-only alt bi-weekly paper, they're wiped out because no restaurants or nightclubs are going to advertise with them anymore, and they're not doing a print edition. And then above every article is a "please help, please donate" link. And advertising-dependent media, that is sort of dead. I mean, Facebook helped kill that for sure. Facebook and Google. We need some of these media outlets to be nonprofit or financed elsewhere, maybe just from government funding too. And you know who funds this podcast? That would be the fine people at Chop Mart.
And now, advertising from our sponsor.
Chopping, gouging, slicing and stabbing, looting all the stores and everybody's grabbing. Politicians and the media telling their lies. Hey everybody, you need guillotine supplies. Torches, pitchforks, guillotine supplies. You'll find it at Chop Mart. Chop Mart, 1789 Skagsport Way South, Cedro Woolley, Washington, 98284. And that's it for this episode of the Doomed Planet podcast, episode 26. See you in hell, Facebook. You can find out more at doomedplanet.com. Music by DJ Cat and Skillet. We will see you in hell, Skillet, now that you're dead. Goodbye.
5, 6, 7, 8. Goodbye. This is the end of the song.